known for its quiet cornfields, rustic barns, and small-town charm. But beneath the surface, the state hides places where the silence is heavier than it should be, where footsteps echo long after the living are gone, and shadows move where no light should reach. From desolate houses rotting at the end of dirt roads, to abandoned asylums where the walls still whisper, Indiana holds secrets that chill the bone. Tonight, we'll step into those forgotten corners. If you dare listen closely, you might hear what never left. 1. Finch Cemetery, Portland. Hidden at the edge of a forest outside Portland lies Finch Cemetery, a small, weathered burial ground that has earned a notorious reputation. The land is scattered with old gravestones, many broken or sinking into the earth. But what draws people here are not the stones themselves, but the things said to linger among them. Locals whisper of shadowy figures that slip between the trees, their shapes tall and indistinct. On moonless nights, glowing orbs float above the graves, darting and weaving as though alive. Visitors often report sudden temperature drops, even in the height of summer, and the sensation of being surrounded, though the cemetery is empty. One of the most enduring legends is that of a phantom woman dressed in white who roams the grounds. Some claim she is the restless soul of a mother buried here, searching endlessly for her children. Others speak of darker presences, growling voices recorded in the night, unseen hands pushing intruders, and apparitions that appear just at the edge of vision before vanishing into the trees. Many who visit leave quickly, unnerved by the oppressive silence that seems to press against the ears, as if the cemetery itself is listening. Stand among the leaning stones long enough, and you may hear whispers rising from the ground, calling your name with voices that do not belong to the living. 2. The Story Inn, Nashville. Deep in Brown County's rolling hills lies the Story Inn, a rustic bed and breakfast with a reputation for being one of Indiana's most haunted places. Founded in the 1850s as part of a tiny mining town, the inn is the last remaining structure of a community that time forgot. Its antique charm draws visitors, but it's the stories of what lingers here that keep them awake at night. Guests who stay in the Blue Lady Room often report encounters with a spectral figure. She appears dressed in flowing blue, her presence accompanied by the scent of cherry tobacco. Sometimes she manifests in the corner of the room, watching silently. Other times she appears in mirrors, her reflection moving when no one else does. Those brave enough to speak of her say she is neither hostile nor kind, only deeply, hauntingly present. The inn also harbors other strange phenomena. Footsteps echo across empty hallways. Furniture shifts on its own, and lights flicker without cause. Guests have described waking to find shadowy figures hovering near their beds, or whispers brushing against their ears as they drift toward sleep. The Story Inn thrives on its legends, and visitors often leave with tales of strange photographs or eerie recordings. Yet few forget the sensation of being under the gaze of unseen eyes, especially in the Blue Lady Room. Stay the night, and you may discover that the past has no intention of letting you rest. 3. Rhodes Hotel, Atlanta. North of Indianapolis, the Rhodes Hotel stands as another piece of Indiana's haunted history. Built in the late 1800s, the hotel has seen everything from weary travelers to Prohibition-era gangsters and, according to locals, death that left its mark on the walls. The stories surrounding the Rhodes Hotel are unsettling. Guests have claimed to see full-bodied apparitions roaming the halls, including a woman in Victorian dress who appears in the upstairs rooms. She is often described as standing silently at the foot of beds, staring with cold, unblinking eyes until vanishing into shadow. Children's laughter is often heard in the hallways, though no children are present. Doors slam shut with a violent force, and some guests report feeling unseen hands grab their wrists or brush their hair. A few investigators have even captured growling voices, deep and guttural, warning them to leave. The basement is said to hold a particularly dark presence. Visitors stepping inside often describe overwhelming dread, sudden nausea, and the sensation of being watched from every corner. Some refuse to enter altogether, convinced something malevolent lurks within. Yet the hotel draws countless paranormal enthusiasts each year, curious to experience its hauntings firsthand. For those who stay overnight, sleep rarely comes easily. The Rhodes Hotel does not simply welcome its guests, it studies them, follows them, and leaves them with memories they can never quite explain. 4. Hannah House, Indianapolis. Along Madison Avenue in Indianapolis stands Hannah House, a stately red brick mansion built in 1858. To passers-by, it may look like just another preserved historic home, but those who step inside soon learn it is one of Indiana's darkest landmarks. During the years of the Underground Railroad, Hannah House is said to have sheltered enslaved people fleeing north. But tragedy struck when a group hiding in the cellar reportedly perished in a fire. Their bodies, hidden to keep the house's secret, were buried beneath the floors. Since then, the mansion has been alive with restless spirits. Visitors describe cold drafts sweeping through sealed rooms, the acrid smell of smoke appearing suddenly and fading just as quickly, and whispers echoing in the cellar where the tragedy occurred. Some have claimed to see shadowy figures huddled together in the corners, as though still seeking safety. There are other entities here, too. Guests have reported the apparition of Alexander Hannah himself, the home's builder, pacing the upper hallways. A woman in black has been spotted weeping in the parlor, her face hidden, her form dissolving into mist when approached. During tours, chandeliers sway on their own, and footsteps follow groups from room to room. Paranormal investigators often capture muffled cries, as if dozens of voices are speaking at once, trapped under the weight of silence. Hannah House is beautiful by day, but by night it becomes a mausoleum of secrets. Stand in its cellar long enough, and you may hear the whispers of those who never made it to freedom. 5. Haunted Bridge of Avon, Avon. A lonely railroad bridge in Avon has become the source of one of Indiana's most enduring legends. Built in 1906, the bridge spans a deep creek, its stone arches towering over the surrounding woods. But for more than a century, locals have whispered of screams that echo through its structure at night. According to legend, a construction worker fell into the wet cement while the bridge was being built, his body entombed within its foundations. To this day, passers-by claim to hear his muffled cries for help when standing beneath the arches. Another tale speaks of a woman carrying her baby across the bridge, who slipped and fell to her death. On quiet nights, the sound of a woman wailing for her lost child still drifts through the darkness. Drivers who cross after midnight report strange figures standing in the road, forcing them to brake, only to vanish into thin air. Others describe ghostly lights flickering along the tracks, as though phantom trains are still passing through. The bridge itself seems to feed on fear. Some who linger too long beneath it claim to feel icy fingers brush against their arms, or the sensation of someone breathing close to their ear. One visitor swore he heard the sound of a baby crying, so faint he thought it was in his head, until his friend heard it too. The Haunted Bridge of Avon is more than stone and steel. It is a monument to unfinished tragedies, a place where voices refuse to go quiet. If you stop beneath its arches, you may find those cries are waiting just for you. 6. The Crump Theater, Columbus. Downtown Columbus is home to the Crump Theater, a grand old building first opened in 1889. By day, its faded marquee and shuttered doors look like a relic of entertainment's golden age. By night, however, the Crump comes alive with something far less welcoming. Actors and staff alike have long reported ghostly activity within its walls. Shadows flit across the balcony, as if an audience of the dead still attends unseen performances. In the dressing rooms, mirrors fog over with handprints, even when no one has touched them. Cold spots creep across the stage, and disembodied footsteps echo behind the velvet curtains. One of the most unnerving accounts involves the basement, where workers once found a figure standing in the corner, pale, silent, watching. When they turned to face it, the figure dissolved into mist. Others claim the ghost of a young girl, said to have died in the theater decades ago, wanders the aisles. She has been spotted skipping between the rows of seats, her laughter sharp, high-pitched, and out of place in the stillness. Paranormal investigators describe the Crump as a building that resists silence. Recorders pick up whispers, musical notes, and even applause from an audience long gone. Some believe the theater's history of joy, heartbreak, and countless untold stories has soaked into the walls, leaving behind restless energy. Sit in the darkened auditorium alone, and you may feel the weight of hundreds of unseen eyes watching the stage, waiting for a show that never ends. 7. Stepp Cemetery, Martinsville. Hidden in the woods of Morgan Monroe State Forest lies Stepp Cemetery, a small, overgrown graveyard where silence presses like a weight. Only a handful of weathered headstones remain, but the legends that surround this place are endless. Locals speak of the Black Lady, a grieving widow who lost her daughter and now roams the cemetery in eternal sorrow. Witnesses claim to see her standing near an old tree, dressed in dark clothing, her face hidden beneath a veil. She is said to approach visitors quietly, watching, before fading into the night air. Others report spectral figures moving between the stones, glowing orbs hovering over graves, and the sound of sobbing echoing through the trees. Some have even heard footsteps following them out of the cemetery, only to turn and find no one there. The forest itself seems complicit. On moonless nights, the path grows disorienting, and people claim the woods twist around them, as if trying to keep them inside. Paranormal groups have recorded chilling EVPs, voices pleading for help, or whispering warnings to leave. One tale describes a man who taunted the spirits, laughing as he kicked over a small headstone. Minutes later, he collapsed with sharp scratches carved across his back. Though no living hand had touched him, he left the cemetery in silence and never returned. Stepp Cemetery may be small, but its shadow stretches long. It is a place where grief turned to legend, and legend turned to fear. Would you step inside its borders at midnight, knowing you may not leave alone? 8. Whisper Estates, Mitchell. You step into a creaking Victorian home, its dark wood staircases and fading wallpaper, whispering of another time. This is Whisper Estates, built in the early 1900s, now infamous as one of Indiana's most haunted houses. The stories begin with tragedy. Fires claimed lives here, most notably a young girl named Rachel, who perished in a blaze that swept through the house. Guests say they still hear her crying in the halls, or the faint patter of small feet running across the upstairs floor. Some even report smelling burning wood and smoke, though the house is cold and intact. Other spirits are said to inhabit the house as well. A woman who whispers to visitors as they sleep, a man lurking in the shadows of the parlor, and darker entities whose presence feels oppressive, heavy, almost suffocating. Paranormal investigators have captured growls on recorders, objects moving on their own, and doors slamming shut with bone-rattling force. One visitor described looking into a mirror on the second floor and seeing someone else's reflection, staring back, eyes sunken, face unfamiliar. Another reported feeling hands shove them on the staircase, nearly sending them tumbling. Whisper Estates is not just a house of echoes. It feels alive, aware of its guests, eager to show its scars. And when the whispers begin faint, urgent, you'll wonder if they belong to lost souls or something darker, trying to lure you deeper inside. 9. Willard Library, Evansville. At first glance, the Willard Library looks like a Gothic dream, a red brick structure from the 1880s, its turrets and pointed arches evoking old-world elegance. But beneath its scholarly quiet lies a haunting that has plagued staff and visitors for over a century. The spirit here is known as the Gray Lady. First reported in 1937 by a custodian who saw her drifting through the basement, she has since appeared countless times. Witnesses describe her as a tall woman in a gray dress, her features indistinct, her presence accompanied by the faint scent of perfume. Patrons often report books flying from shelves, cold drafts in sealed rooms, and water faucets turning on by themselves. Security cameras have even captured strange mist-like shapes moving through the library at night. In the children's reading room, toys have been found mysteriously moved, as though unseen hands are still at play. One librarian recalled hearing the sound of footsteps approaching her desk late at night. When she looked up, no one was there, only the Gray Lady gliding silently into the shadows. Paranormal researchers believe she may be the spirit of a former librarian, forever bound to the shelves she once tended. Willard Library still welcomes curious visitors, but many come for more than books. If you sit in the hushed silence of the reading room, you may feel her eyes on you, patiently watching from the gray mist. 10. Central State Hospital, Indianapolis. The heart of Indiana's capital once beat with screams. Central State Hospital, originally opened in 1848 as the Indiana Hospital for the Insane, became a sprawling campus where thousands passed through. What was meant as treatment often turned into torment. Overcrowding, experimental practices, and unmarked graves turned this institution into a monument of suffering. Walk its crumbling halls today, and you'll find silence that feels too loud. Paranormal investigators speak of footsteps shuffling behind them, whispers carried down corridors, and shadows crawling across peeling walls. The morgue, with its rusted tables, is said to be the most active. Visitors have described a sudden coldness, like invisible hands brushing their necks, and some have caught faint cries recorded on EVP. Locals tell stories of a woman in white who drifts through the old wards. Her face is blurred, her movements jagged, as if time itself is fractured around her. Others claim to see orderlies, still clad in uniforms from a century ago, pacing through doorways and vanishing into locked rooms. The asylum was shut down in 1994, but the shadows inside it never dispersed. Walk too deep into its remains, and you may not know if the voices you hear are echoes from the past or something whispering your name. The shadows of Indiana don't fade when the sun rises. They linger, waiting. If these haunted places sent a chill down your spine, like this video, share the story in the comments, and subscribe so you'll never miss the next journey into the dark. The ghosts we've met tonight are only the beginning.